Hi, I'm Mel Barfield. Welcome to Indie Business Club, the podcast for independent creatives, freelancers, founders, and business owners. This is a B-side where Ben McKinney and I have a shorter indie business chat.
Mel, what are we talking about today?
We are going to talk about CPD, and I'll tell you for why, Ben. I'll tell you for why.
Before you tell me for why, can you tell me what CPD means?
I forget you've never had a proper job, sorry. Continuous or continual, accounts vary. Continuous professional development. So this is all about
I was going to say personal development when you said the PD.
No, that's probably a whole separate episode about personal development and growth and mindset and stuff and self-esteem. We can shelve that one for now, I think.
No, I'm ready for that one.
CPD is all about the formal, structured or semi-structured or informal learning that you do solely for your job and the skills you need to do your job and the knowledge that you need to do your job. And the reason, I'll tell you for why we're talking about this. We're both copywriters and we have a wonderful publication every year. It's not our publication, though I did sponsor it this year for extra brownie points. You're welcome, Leaf. ProCopywriters run a survey every year and they ask all sorts of questions. The most useful thing is the average day rate. That's the thing that most people get a lot of value from, being able to see what the going rate is for copywriters. One of the things that jumped out at me was there were a couple of stats to do with learning and development. One of them was that 37% of respondents spend less than £100 per year on their training and development. And I'm smashing that number because of all the conferences I go to, or jollies as Mr. Barfield likes to call them. And a whopping 74% spend less than £500 per year. I should caveat this with an acknowledgement that it is, there are tough times out there for a lot of people. So I'm not dissing anyone's budgets, but I was really surprised at how that kind of shows or indicates to me that for a lot of people, it perhaps isn't, either it isn't a priority, or perhaps people are finding their learning and development elsewhere. Ben, CPD, discuss.
Yeah, just on that note, I suppose I wonder if it's even more simple than that, just one of those things that when you go freelance or when you start working for yourself or start building your own thing, it's just one of those things where you just don't really remember to do it. Not even that you... time is a big thing. We always talk about time and how...
there's never enough time.
There's never enough time. So time is obviously a big thing, especially if you've got family responsibilities or caring responsibilities. To have to kind of take time away from those as well as it being taking time away from client time, which obviously earns you money. But yeah, I just wonder if it's one of those things that when you run your own thing, you're just doing every day, aren't you? And
there's
you don't
no one to
really
tell
ever
you,
think, yeah, exactly. That's
go to this conference.
That's it. Yeah. Whereas if you're in an employed role, it might be contractually obliged, or it might be properly on the business to make sure that you do that and to build it into your schedule, where you don't have that as a self-employed or a freelancer or anything like that. All of a sudden you sort of look back and think, I haven't been anywhere this year. I haven't learned anything new. I've just worked. I wonder if it's just that.
I think the other thing for me about in-person CPD stuff is I see that very much as part of my marketing plan of I don't advertise my wares other than on LinkedIn, but I either make or strengthen connections that I've got with other people when I see them in real life. So for me, going to CPD events, conferences, training and that kind of thing is massively to do with the in-person networking element of them, rather than just being like, in fact, to the point where the talks, I know I think you're a bit different in your approach to what you want to get out of a conference. You want to see talk titles that you're going to find useful in your work. But for me, they're almost like a nice to have, really. Yeah. It's more to do with the facilitation of the event, where like the ideal event for me would involve a lot of networking opportunities. But it is, CPD as well, because it's obviously a learning opportunity as well.
Yeah, we did 2 episodes on conferences, didn't we, a while back? And I think we kind of referenced that then, that because of the cost of going, again, the time out of your business and all that kind of thing, for me, it really had to be worth it. That for me, it was more because of family stuff. So I was talking, we've just come back. We were both at Nottingham Digital Summit last week, weren't we? We spoke.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a couple of people on the day, and they were asking about another conference, which is literally the other end of the country for me. It's a big deal. There's lots of extra events. It's Atomicon. You talk a lot about Atomicon. And I've never been. And it's partly because I think there's a pre-event event on the Sunday night. There's then pre-event drinks on the Monday night. Then there's the event on the Tuesday, and then there's something else. And I kind of said to them, I was like, with all the travel involved, I kind of at the moment have because my children are so little, I kind of have a 2-night maximum, and it's really got to be worth it to stay away for 2 nights. And I don't want to extend that and kind of thing. But yeah, for me, a conference, if I'm not speaking, a conference definitely has to be worth it for the talks or the people that are on stage. And then everything I get from it alongside that is wonderful. I really enjoy the networking side of things. Nottingham Digital had a great vibe, and there was loads of really interesting people. We talked about it afterwards from a copy or die point of view. It was really useful networking because they were the kind of size businesses that we need to be talking to. That was really useful. But like in a few days, we're off to CopyCon.
Woohoo!
This year, I haven't really looked at the speakers. So this is kind of just a slightly different mindset for me. I haven't looked at the speakers as much. Just felt like it was I didn't go last year because my wife and I just had a baby. But this year it felt like, oh no,
didn't go last year. The year I was speaking.
I know.
But
I missed your talk.
I forgave you because
he was so little,
beautiful little baby.
But yeah, so
you looked at the lineup that year and thought, nah, it's not worth it this year.
I see her speak every Wednesday.
I can get that for free.
But no, it felt like a really good place to just go, to kind of be around everybody and to get that kind of, I think you take the temperature of your industry at something like this. It's different at other events. If it's a marketing conference, you're kind of looking to either gain some insights or to meet certain people. Whereas for CopyCon, because it's our industry thing, be interesting to go and kind of sort of see where people are at, see what they're up to.
Yeah, definitely.
The last couple of years have been a little bit doom and gloom on social media. And actually, I wonder, is the tide starting to turn? I'm kind of looking forward to finding out and seeing what mood people are in when we go.
Another thing that we've talked about potentially doing is getting the CPD element, but going to something adjacent to copywriting. So like Birmingham Design Festival is one of the things I mentioned to you just the other day, where you're not going to learn directly about your industry, but you're going for creative fuel, or you're going to meet other people who, it might be that we go there and we meet some web designers that might bring copy or die in on a project to do the copy for a website, or a brand refresh that involves tone of voice. And it's not just about the learning and the inspo that you'll have from the talks, but again, it's that networking thing. I think there's a lot of value
to create strategic partnerships, that kind of thing.
Strategic partnerships, which will be an episode in future. We're always on the lookout for strategic partnership. If you feel like you could be a strategic partner to Copy or Die, the copywriting agency, or Indie Business Club, the podcast for independent, anyway, email us. I think it's, for me, CPD encompasses that marketing element, and the marketing's a horror. It sounds like it's a bit too try hard, but it's, for me, it's about cementing those existing connections and making new connections, but also getting intel on adjacent industries like graphic design and
I don't think it sounds too try hard.
SEO is another one as well.
I've not been to that one before, but you've spoken about that before. I don't think it's too try hard to talk about it from that point of view, because I wonder if one of the things that holds people back, and I don't want to this isn't all about conferences. We're going to talk about other bits and bobs in a minute, but I wonder if what holds people back from maybe investing in it, because that's what it comes down to, is more a case of how do you quantify the return on your investment. But for me, going to a conference, I always come away from it and have this lovely little ride the creative wave afterwards.
Yeah, you
do. I always feel like I come back and be like, wow, I've got loads of great ideas. Yeah, either that talk or that conversation with somebody, or sometimes just being out of my office is in my home, so just being out of home and getting that kind of buzz from bouncing off people, it'd be different for everybody. But I always come back from those events and feel I've had an idea for this, something has sparked here, and then I get this little creative wave that I ride for a little bit afterwards.
Well, you mentioned that we'll talk about other like non-conferencey things. I just want to give a quick shout out to our friends at the Marketing Meetup, because budget doesn't have to stop you from accessing CPD. They've got online webinars every Tuesday afternoon. It's normally in the afternoon. They've got a massive back catalogue. There's stuff on YouTube. There's stuff all over the place, not just from the Marketing Meetup, but elsewhere. I remember talking to your friend of mine, Lou Major, about how I actually met her through the chat function on a Marketing Meetup webinar. And she told me that she sets aside, I think at the time that it was on in the mornings on a Tuesday. So she had a very specific time of the week, every single week, that she would sit down and do some CPD, whether it was attending a webinar or she'd do some self-led learning. So she'd get a book out and sit and purposefully spend that time, ring fence that time to read. And I think we've both found that the only way stuff gets done, including this podcast, is if you ring fence the time. So I really hope that the people who responded to say they spent less than £100 on training and development each year are getting their training and development in other ways, because
that's a good point.
It's so important to what are the benefits of CPD? You keep up to date with your industry changes, you keep your brain fresh. If you end up in a situation with a client and they ask about a certain thing in your industry and you kind of go, I don't really know about that, that's not a good look.
Yeah, you learn new things. I think it can quieten the noise as well. Like, so just thinking about that, it's a long time ago now, and family circumstances were different. But yeah, I remember creating, I think it was just 15 minutes before I started work, and it was an opportunity to I'd come to the office, I'd either read, and it wouldn't have to necessarily be a business book. I would read something, or I'd play my guitar, or I would just sit and sort of think. So that's not really CPD, but I would just try and do something that kind of almost warmed the brain up, and quite often that led to learning something or doing something new. And that then just meant that I was much more prepared for work. And then afterwards, it seemed like I could switch off a bit more easily, I think. So I think if you, by just breaking things up in your working week, which is ideal, isn't it? We're not talking here about going to a conference once every 6 months or something, but just those little and often bits. You can learn a lot in those little and often bits, and 15 minutes a week adds up to a lot by the end of the year. So yeah, it's all that. I think it can almost look after your working health, I suppose. I don't want to even say mental health or physical health, but the kind of your working health and the way your brain works for work.
Yeah, definitely. And if you can habit stack if you do Duolingo or something like that, just add another 10 minutes after you've finished your Duolingo to listen to a podcast or something similar, or read a chapter of a book. Just if you can build it into your day or your week somehow, then as with most good habits, that's the way to do it, is to kind of attach it to some anchor in your week. Otherwise, if you just kind of do, I'll do it when I've got some time. Spoiler alert, you're never going to have the time, and you're going to end up never having read Influence by Robert Cialdini or whatever. So yeah, my advice to get cracking with your CPD is to also, as well as building it into your week, look at when it gets near to the end of the tax year. These things are tax deductible. So, is that the right term? Am I using the right term?
Yeah.
It'll be offset against your tax bill. So, it's worth spending a bit. That's my excuse anytime I'm going on a jolly,
well, you mentioned
or
budget,
signing
Mel.
up to a course.
So how many courses have you signed up to recently that you haven't done?
Only like 2 this year, I think. But I will do them. We've talked before about having that accountability element of right, we're going to definitely do this together. And we haven't always done it. But I think it's a good idea to do that if we can.
Yeah, I think.
We're going to do some homework. We're going to set ourselves some homework. Let's not say which course, though, because whoever does it might hear.
No, we have spoken about that before. I think we've spoken about it on the pod, but we've definitely spoken about it privately as well. In terms of and it was to do with kind of breaking up that week. If work is intense, we've got a lot of work on at the moment, and we're obviously trying to keep up with the podcast as well. It's not that it becomes a chore, but it can grind you down. So bringing in something like a little course that you can dip in and out of I find it refreshing.
It uses your brain a different way.
Exactly, well, yeah. But it is about having either the accountability or blocking out the time in your calendar and protecting it, even if it is just that 15 minutes. I find that really difficult to do, but that's my homework, is to try and have that time. That'll do for today. If you're enjoying the show, you can subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to our newsletter at indiebusinessclub.substack.com. Bye.
Bye.